Silent CEO pretended to be a janitor for a week. Only one trainee girl treated him like a human. The morning that changed everything began with a stain on a marble floor. No one noticed the man holding the mop. No one greeted him. No one thanked him. People rushed past him as if he were invisible. Expensive shoes stepped around the wet floor. Important executives checked their phones. Managers barked orders without making eye contact. The man quietly lowered his head and continued cleaning. What none of them knew was that the janitor standing in front of them was actually the billionaire CEO who owned the entire company. And before this week ended, one young trainee would unknowingly change his life forever. Red heart. Before we begin, if you believe kindness matters more than status, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these emotional stories reach more hearts around the world. Ethan Carter had spent 20 years building Carter Global from a struggling startup into one of the most respected companies in the country. His face appeared on magazine covers. Business schools studied his success. Investors admired him. Yet despite all his achievements, Ethan felt something was terribly wrong. The company he once built on respect, hard work, and humanity no longer felt like the place he remembered. During meetings, employees spoke about profits but rarely about people. Managers focused on numbers but ignored emotions. Departments competed against each other instead of working together. The higher Ethan climbed, the more isolated he became. Whenever he entered a room, everyone stood up. Everyone smiled. Everyone agreed with him. But he had started wondering whether anyone around him was showing their real face. One evening, after another exhausting board meeting, Ethan sat alone in his office overlooking the city lights. Thousands of employees worked for him. Yet he felt completely alone. That night he made a decision that shocked even his closest assistant. For 1 week, he would disappear. No announcements. No cameras. No security entourage. No luxury office. He would enter his own company disguised as a janitor and observe how people treated someone they believed had no power. 3 days later, Ethan exchanged his tailored suits for a gray maintenance uniform. The transformation was remarkable. His expensive watch disappeared. His neatly styled hair became simpler. A pair of glasses completed the disguise. When he walked through headquarters carrying a mop and cleaning supplies, not a single employee recognized him. The experiment had begun. The first day was painful. Employees who usually spoke passionately about workplace values barely acknowledged him. Some left trash on tables they could easily clean themselves. Others ignored his greetings. One manager accidentally bumped into him and complained as if Ethan had caused the collision. The CEO watched silently. He wasn't angry. He was heartbroken. Because every small interaction revealed something deeper about the culture of his company. The second day was even worse. At lunch, Ethan sat alone in the cafeteria. Hundreds of employees filled the room. Laughter echoed across tables. Conversations flowed freely. Yet no one invited the janitor to sit with them. No one asked how his day was going. No one seemed interested in the person behind the uniform. For the first time in years, Ethan experienced what invisibility felt like. It was far more painful than any business failure. Then, on the third day, everything changed. A young trainee named Lily Morgan walked into the cafeteria carrying her lunch tray. She was only 22 years old. Fresh out of college. Nervous about her future. Unknown to everyone else, she had spent years overcoming hardships before earning her internship. Her father had passed away when she was young. Her mother worked 2 jobs to support the family. Lily understood struggle because she had lived it. As she searched for a place to sit, she noticed the janitor eating alone. Most people would have looked away. Lily didn't. She walked over and sat down. Ethan expected a quick greeting before she returned to her friends. Instead, she stayed. She asked how his day was going. She thanked him for keeping the building clean. She smiled sincerely. For a few moments, Ethan forgot he was conducting an experiment. He simply enjoyed being treated like a human being. The next day Lily greeted him again. Then the day after that. Soon their brief conversations became the brightest part of Ethan's undercover week. She never asked what position he held. She never cared about his salary. She never treated him differently because of his uniform. To her, he was simply another person deserving respect. Meanwhile, Ethan continued observing the company. The contrast became impossible to ignore. Senior executives often ignored employees beneath them. Managers spoke about teamwork while practicing favoritism. Many people were polite only when speaking to someone influential. But Lily remained consistent. She treated everyone the same. Receptionists, security guards, interns, cleaning staff. It didn't matter. Kindness was simply part of who she was. One rainy evening, Ethan found Lily working late. Most employees had already gone home. She sat alone reviewing reports under the soft glow of office lights. As Ethan cleaned nearby, he noticed exhaustion in her eyes. She looked overwhelmed. Not because she lacked talent. Because she carried responsibilities most people couldn't see. Over the following days, Ethan gradually learned pieces of her story. Her mother was struggling financially. Student loans weighed heavily on her shoulders. Every internship hour mattered because she desperately hoped for a permanent job. Despite everything, she remained positive. She encouraged other trainees. Helped coworkers without expecting recognition. And somehow kept smiling. The more Ethan observed her, the more impressed he became. She reminded him of the person he once was before success complicated everything. Then came Friday. The final day of the experiment. That morning, Ethan overheard a conversation that deeply disturbed him. Several managers were discussing trainee evaluations. One manager dismissed Lily's contributions because she lacked influential connections. Another suggested promoting someone else whose family had relationships within the company. The decision had little to do with merit. It was politics. Pure and simple. Ethan remained silent. But inside, disappointment grew. This wasn't the company he wanted to lead. That afternoon, Lily experienced something she would never forget. A senior executive harshly criticized her in front of colleagues for a mistake she hadn't even made. Embarrassment filled the room. Nobody defended her. Nobody spoke up. Everyone stayed silent. Everyone except the janitor. Ethan quietly approached and provided evidence showing Lily wasn't responsible. The executive reluctantly backed down. Lily thanked him afterward. She seemed surprised that someone had stood beside her when others wouldn't. For Ethan, it was a small gesture. For Lily, it meant everything. That evening marked the end of his undercover week. The following Monday, employees received an unexpected invitation. A mandatory company-wide meeting. Rumors spread throughout headquarters. Nobody knew what was happening. Thousands of employees gathered in the main auditorium. Managers sat nervously. Executives exchanged confused looks. Lily took a seat near the back. Then the lights dimmed. The company logo appeared on the giant screen. A moment later, Ethan Carter walked onto the stage wearing an elegant suit. Applause erupted instantly. The famous CEO had returned. But Ethan wasn't smiling. The audience slowly grew quiet. He began speaking about leadership, respect, integrity, humanity. Then he revealed the truth. For the past week, he explained, he had been working among them disguised as a janitor. The room froze. Shock spread across every face. Employees glanced at each other in disbelief. Several managers turned pale. Executives stared at the stage as if they had seen a ghost. Ethan described everything he had witnessed. The ignored greetings. The disrespect. The invisible barriers separating people according to status. The audience listened in complete silence. Many lowered their heads. Some appeared ashamed. Then Ethan shared a different story. A story about one trainee. One young woman who had no idea she was speaking to the CEO. One employee who consistently chose kindness when nobody was watching. One person who treated a janitor with the same respect she would offer a billionaire. Lily's heart began racing. She suddenly realized where the story was heading. Tears filled her eyes. Ethan invited her onto the stage. The auditorium erupted into applause. Lily walked forward trembling. Not because she wanted attention, but because she never expected any of this. Standing beside her, Ethan explained that true character reveals itself when there is nothing to gain. Lily had shown compassion without expecting rewards. She had demonstrated leadership without holding authority. She had represented the company's original values better than many senior executives. Then Ethan made an announcement. Lily would immediately receive a full-time position within the company. The audience applauded again. But Ethan wasn't finished. He also announced a scholarship fund in honor of employees who demonstrated exceptional kindness and integrity. The first recipient would be Lily. Tears streamed down her face. Years of struggle. Years of sacrifice. Years of uncertainty. And now, finally, hope. Yet the most emotional moment came afterward. Backstage, away from cameras and applause, Ethan thanked Lily personally. Not for being kind to a janitor, but for helping him remember who he wanted to be. Because during that week, she had taught him something powerful. Success without humanity is empty. Power without compassion is meaningless. Leadership without kindness is incomplete. In the months that followed, Carter Global began changing. New training programs emphasized empathy and respect. Employee recognition focused not only on performance but also on character. Managers became more accountable for how they treated people. The culture slowly transformed. Not overnight, but steadily. And at the center of that transformation was a simple lesson. Every person matters. The receptionist matters. The intern matters. The janitor matters. The CEO matters. Because beneath titles, uniforms, and job descriptions, every human heart wants the same thing. To be seen. To be respected. To be valued. Several years later, Lily became one of the company's most respected leaders. Not because she was the smartest person in the building. Not because she had powerful connections. But because she never forgot what kindness could accomplish. Whenever new employees joined the company, they often heard the story of the trainee and the janitor. Many assumed it was just a corporate legend. Only those who knew the truth understood its deeper meaning. A single act of kindness had changed 2 lives. One young woman found the opportunity she desperately needed. One lonely CEO rediscovered the purpose he thought he had lost. And together, they helped change an entire company. Before this story ends, leave a comment and tell us, what would you have done if you saw someone sitting alone like Lily saw the janitor? If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps spread messages of kindness, compassion, and hope to people who may need them today. And one more thing before you go, tell us in the comments which country you are watching from. We'd love to know how many different countries are part of our storytelling family. Remember this. People may forget your position. People may forget your wealth. People may forget your success. But they will never forget how you made them feel. And sometimes, the smallest act of kindness becomes the biggest turning point in someone's life. Red heart.